Good morning. Today, I want to tell you about a little church in Transylvania that was the first Unitarian church. And when this town decided that they wanted to build their church, everyone got involved. And they hired masons who would come and build the stones and correct the structures. They hired people in the town who would cut big wooden beams for trusses for the ceilings and thatch a roof so the rain wouldn't get in. Everyone came when it was time to paint, and they painted flowers and designs all around the altar and the doors and the windows. Everyone in the town contributed to building this church. And they put the church high on a hill so it would look down over the whole village the way a mother might look down on a sleeping child at night. And they worked all week. And finally, on the last day, they worked and worked and worked, and it was ready. And an elder said, "Let us all go home, have our supper, and come back, and we will pray and worship together." And one family, Zora and her father, they stayed behind because they had brought their bread and cheese with them for dinner, and they ate right there on the church grounds. And Zora went in and she twirled and watched how the setting sun was coming through these windows that had been put in the church with the beautiful stained glass. And she realized they had put wrought iron hooks, big black metal hooks, where lanterns could hang. And she said, "But Papa, there are no lanterns. The church is not ready. There will be no light." And her dad said, "Ah, Zora, the people are the light of the church. Light cannot exist in a church without its people. And so you will see when it's time for worship, young one, exactly what happens." And she thought, "I don't understand this. There's no lanterns, there'll be no light, and we'll all be in the dark together." But when the time came, Zora got to ring the big bell that they had installed to tell the whole village that it was time to gather for worship. And she watched as little lights came up the hill. One by one, each family was bringing a lantern from their home, lit and coming up in a single file line. And as they entered the church, one by one, the families would hang their lantern on the wrought iron hooks. And at first, the light was small. And then another family and another brought their lantern. And the light grew until the whole church building was filled with light. And they could see one another's beautiful smiles. And they sang and they prayed and they worshiped together and they told stories and they rejoiced in this community church that they had. And when the church service ended, each family took their lantern off the wall and went back home with it. And as Zora was walking home with her family, she said to her mother, "Mom, the people are the light of the church." "Yes, Zora, that is true. But they also take the light of the church back home with them." "Yes, Zora, that's the most important part," said her mother. "What happens when we come together, we take a little piece of that back home. And even when we extinguish our lanterns when we go to bed at night, we know that we carry the lamp of truth, the light of hope, the warmth of love, until we can all be together again." I wonder what it means that the people are the light of the church. What does that mean for us today when we don't bring lanterns to church anymore, but we flip switches to turn on lights? Are we still the light of the church? And what do we take back home with us? And how does that sustain us? How does that feed us until we can be together again?